Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Let's take a look at one kind of helpful way to identify chop on a Unirenko chart. Came in this morning during the London session first thing. Crude was down here, started to pull back, actually broke the downtrend. You can see crude's making higher or lower highs, lower lows. We came up here, broke through this previous pivot high, which broke the downtrend, but we didn't have an established uptrend. We weren't really making higher lows and higher highs until here. We finally had a higher low, and this ended up being kind of a false breakout. Crude reversed, made this kind of a sloppy trend reversal breakout. It's not technically, by definition, not a trend reversal breakout because you could consider this the previous pivot low, and this actually broke slightly below that. I don't know, 1 or 2 bars is really not quite enough really for a pivot for me, but either way, we were just sloppy right here. Put in a lower high, broke to a lower low. Honestly, I didn't trade that particular trade. It was a good one, and I missed it. Full disclosure, I missed that trade. But then we went into the chop. And a good way to identify that is take your drawing tool, take a horizontal line, put one at your previous significant pivot high. This was your significant pivot high. You can see we changed trend off of that high, and then put another one down here at the significant pivot low. You can see that once we moved up and made this first pivot right here, we were now pivoting between this significant pivot high and this significant pivot low. And when you're pivoting between significant pivot highs and pivot lows like that, that's usually the chop. That's a good way to know that you're in choppy conditions. And you can see if you were trying to trade in this mess, you weren't doing very well. You were definitely getting beat up and chopped up if you were trying to trade in this mess. And this went on for several hours. And in fact, ultimately, we did get a little bit of a break higher right in here just before the US session started, and then it chopped around and honestly didn't break out of this zone until the US session. Finally we got a breakout out of that compression zone in the US session. But again, you could see if you were trying to chop in this, and again, this went on for pretty close to 3 hours. And if you're trying to trade in this, you're probably getting beat up. You're losing money most likely. So one helpful way, that's one nice thing about Unirenko charts, the pivots are pretty well defined. And one helpful way to identify chop is when you start pivoting between significant pivot highs and pivot lows. Just kind of a helpful hint. We did a really good job staying out of this, and so we did not get cut up in this morning. And that's how I identify chop.